So in the run-up to the Age of Heroes, I decided to build this Argossean base as a spot to test the living settlement mechanic when the update drops on the beta client. However, I also realised some of you would likely want a build tutorial for this test base when you see it in the deep dive video, so that's what I've got for you today ahead of the beta launch on August 29th. For the build, these are the requirements, and this is the location on the map. So without further ado, let's get started. Firstly, before anything else, start off with this base plate, and you'll want to make sure it's slotted. You do that by building the exterior edge with foundations one tile below the target height, adding a door frame, then putting the final layer of foundations inside the doors. You can just then fill the rest with ceilings supported by pillars. I just wanted to make sure that was mentioned as it's very easy to miss, and I know it's not exactly the most popular technique, so I thought I'd just briefly show you how to do it. Now, as you've likely seen by the title, this is indeed a speed build. I would have liked to do this in the new step-by-step format, but I built this on the public beta server, so I unfortunately don't have access to the mods I'd usually use for that style. Additionally, whilst it might look complex in the end, this build is actually quite simple. It just takes a good while because there's a lot of tiles to place, so I thought a speed build would probably be the best format for it. Coming into this build, the main idea was simply to construct a test area for the living settlement mechanic coming in Conan's next update, the Age of Heroes. As of this video going live, it should be out tomorrow on the 29th on the beta client, so I thought, get ahead of it and have a build ready to go where I can test all the new features. I took some inspiration for the design from the recent dev stream and decided to build an Argossean base on the water. I do quite like that aesthetic. However, as opposed to going for a more village-style design like was made for the dev stream, I wanted something a bit more unified and ended up thinking of the design I'm building here. As I mentioned earlier, though this build is basically just going to be a stage for testing the living settlements mechanic, I did think that some people would want to see a build guide for the base. That seems to be a pattern whenever I build stuff as a stage for testing or just for showing something else, so I ended up recording the build whilst I worked on it. The build itself didn't take forever. I think it was about an hour worth of building in total, plus probably 2 hours for decoration, I think. In terms of structure, the idea was quite simple. The main body of the base will have 6 towers, 3 on each side, and 4 outbuildings. The towers can be there for basically whatever you want. I ended up using them for extra bed space for the thralls when they convert to world thralls in the Age of Heroes beta. The outbuildings are a bit more important, as each will serve as a small workshop. Ideally, the hope is that thralls will be able to mill in and out of their workshops under the living settlement system. The main square is going to be a sort of open-air tavern design that can also serve as a commons area where I want the thralls to be able to gather. Finally, the main building at the rear is designed to be the player's home, ideally off-limits for the thralls, but that's something I'll have to test out when the time comes. To be perfectly honest, this base is pretty simple. The design is straightforward and easy, there's just quite a few pieces to place. There isn't actually too much else to say about this base, so as this is a speed build, I'll let the rest of the construction phase play before we return at the end for a cinematic look at the finished and decorated base. If you'd like to skip forward to that section and miss out on the construction phase, you'll find the finished build chapter by scrubbing the play bar. Until then, enjoy the rest of the construction, and I shall see you with the finished and decorated build. Finally, when the shell of the build was done, it was then time to, of course, furnish. When everything was lit up and decorated, I think this base turned out rather nice. It's spacious, takes really good advantage of its environment and the open air nature of the commons in the centre, and it keeps things pretty simple on the outbuildings and towers. To be fair, it's been a good while since I built and decorated it, especially without assets from the Battle Pass and Bazaar, which definitely added a bit more difficulty to the decoration aspect of finishing this build off. I think, to be fair, I've been a bit spoiled with the Battle Pass and Bazaar stuff, so coming back to the beta client, it's a bit humbling in a way to not have them. That being said, as a testing stage, I think the decoration here ends up being more than sufficient. If you built this yourself, you'd probably want to decorate it differently, as I doubt you'd want to construct a base like this just for testing. My personal recommendation: a large Argossean fountain in the central commons area is a really good shout, as are including some of the Argossean horse statues too. Both would fit really nicely in this build. I didn't have much space for them as I needed the central social space, but adding either really pulls things together. The outbuildings and the towers both serve their own purpose and will be instrumental in testing the living settlements feature, and the main base right at the back is also pretty spacious. The basement has room for storage and crafting facilities, with the ground and first floor being reserved for a more roleplay focused approach. The ground floor includes a dining area, a small kitchenette and a lounge. The first floor includes a raised bedroom and a small games section too, alongside access to the front balcony, where hopefully, if the Living Settlements launch goes well, I can stand and watch the thralls mill about below. And there we have it, an Argossean river base on the exiled lands in map square H4. You will most definitely see this build again if you watch the Living Settlements video when the Age of Heroes beta drops. It should be coming out tomorrow on August 29th, or at least that's the case as of the date of recording, and Living Settlements is the first thing I'll be trying out and covering in upcoming videos about Conan's next major update, so do make sure you subscribe to get all the best news and updates from me as soon as they're uploaded. Anyway, that wraps us up for today. I'm very excited to get into the Age of Heroes beta and show you all the new features very soon. Thank you for watching, and of course a massive thanks to our wonderful, esteemed coffee cultists for continuing to support the channel over on Patreon. If you do enjoy my content, check out the Patreon linked in the description and pinned comment to support the channel and get content early, alongside plenty of other benefits. Again, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon.